I'm going live in 2. I always enjoy the opening of this show with that amazing roaring lion at the end. I always love him waiting till he's finished saying whatever it is he's saying. No. Welcome to the Africam show. It is the 8th of July. It's 4 o'clock. My name is Kelly and I'm going to be with you for the next little bit of time. That was a bit messy, boy. Quite distracting. Look at this beautiful big bull here. Missing a little bit of water in his mouth. I actually enjoy watching these big boys playing around in the water here. See if he's going to do it again. Anyway, we are live. We are interactive. My favourite part of this show is hearing from everyone that is watching while I am distracted by this big elephant bull having a drink here. I love to hear where everyone is, what everyone is doing. I think it's incredible that we can all link up like this from our different areas of the globe. Jack DeBoer, good morning. From Chesapeake in Virginia. Good morning, Jack DeBoer. It's afternoon here in sunny South Africa, but thank you for joining us. Casper said, third ghost, good morning, afternoon, Caddy, and everyone. You've got cold iced tea with lemons ready for the show. Excellent choice. Who else have we got with us this afternoon? Bridget McKinney. Hello, Bridget McKinney. I hope you are well. Day off with a good old apple juice. Excellent choice, Bridget. Oh, how are you, Crossford boy? Is there another elephant joining the party here? I do not. Oh no, I've got a little bit of a blueberry meringue drink left. Not very healthy. Had a lovely smoothie earlier. But this boy is on his way out. That looked like he was a little bit obviously upset at that head shake. Sometimes a sign that he's been disturbed by another elephant maybe, or something's bothered him. But yeah, this guy is not going to be backing down for too many others out here on the savannah. Amberco waving hello with coffee. Don't spill it, Amberco. You don't wave hello with coffee. Looking forward to the show. with thanks to all that work to bring them to us. Indeed, thank you very much, everyone there in the background working hard to get these cameras online and get us streaming successfully. Gina NC, good morning to you too. You're on your second cup of coffee already, really ready for the show. Excellent work on your second cup of coffee. I enjoy a second cup of coffee in the mornings as well. You never quite know when you're going to, this boy is just disappearing. I think we are going to head across to a different location to see who else we can catch on these cameras. I will consider, there we go. Off to Moala in Botswana with some lovely drinking zebras. I'm just seeing, it looks like a couple of these females are quite rotund. They could be carrying little zebras. They could just be rotund. It's sometimes difficult to tell, actually. Sorry, who else have we got? Second cup of coffee. Yes, we were on the second cup of coffee. Always a good place to be on a second cup of coffee. I only managed to fit one in this morning. That second one is always a treat. Andy, good afternoon all. Sorry, all I got is your smile. That's enough, Andy. That's all we need. Your smile is more than enough. On Sonegro, good Tuesday, Africaners. Got my black coffee ready to join you. Excellent. I'm not a black coffee drinker. I do prefer slightly weaker, milkier, sweet coffee. I know I'm not a coffee purist, but I'm okay with that. Karu, hello. You've got milk. Good choice, Karu. MG Leopard Spots, hi there from a sunny Bay Area, CO. Delicious ice water. I think you can't quite beat, if in the right mood, a nice iced chilled water. Very refreshing and thirst quenching. Five Girls, good morning from Boise, Idaho. Looking forward to the show. Thank you very much, Five Girls. You are very welcome. Thank you for joining us. Look how clear that, it almost looks like a runoff. I don't think that is a game path going up to the right hand side there. It almost looks more like water runoff to me. Oh, that characteristic zebra call. As we know, these prey species can sometimes be a little bit nervous when they're coming down to drink. Everyone and everything needs to drink, as we are proving by our milk and our ice water and our black coffee. April Owl, good morning, everyone from a hot Connecticut with your cherry iced tea ready for the show. See, we all need to drink, be it water, black coffee, or cherry iced tea. So predator and prey species alike are aware of this fact. And we do often see predators launching sneak attacks around water points. Animals can be very vulnerable while they're bending down to drink. These herd animals, sometimes not so much. There is more eyes, more ears available to cover all directions, which in this scenario is very, very important. I'm looking at the edge of this water here, and I want to rake it and then look at tracks and see who's been walking around here. I was actually out this morning. Someone had lost their doggy, and I was tracking a doggy along the fence line like it was a leopard. And it's been a while since I did that, and I really enjoyed it. I was checking junctions, looking to see where tracks had come off, and the best bit was there was a chance I was going to be able to find it and give it a biscuit. I didn't, as it turns out, so we did make it home safe. That is something that is not possible if you are tracking leopards. But yeah, it's exciting, tracking and trailing and looking at footprints. It's exciting, it's rewarding, it's challenging. And that lovely bit by the water there is super sandy. There's a part of me that wants to rake it all flat and then see who walks there in the night. So I go, prison ponies. Prison ponies indeed, yes. Those stripy equines or equids. It looks like these might be finishing up now, but see how there's almost always someone head up. Oh, there we go. I think this is probably why they're going to be finishing up. Let's see. He's walking with a bit of a purpose. He didn't even come for a drink. Looks like he was just passing through. He was walking with a bit of a purpose, though. I've often seen elephants as they approach water, they will have a bit of a swagger. Often look like they're sort of almost claiming the area. But he sort of walked on by. Wow, look at all those numbers. Look at all those different animals back there. Huge numbers of plains game stretched out across there. Is that another water point in the middle there? I'm assuming that's another pan there, but I'm not sure. Can anyone that watches these cameras regularly, can anyone tell me what that is there? Is that water? No, we're not sure. It could be. I wonder why there would be so many animals gathered around that one if that's water and none over here. Maybe it's there's some minerals there. Maybe they're practicing some geophagia there, eating minerals or eating ground. But it's definitely a popular spot. They're hustling to get in there, aren't they? Okay, I believe there may be some pelicans over at the hide. I'd love to see if they're still there, to be perfectly honest. I don't really know much about pelicans, but I would love to go and have a look at them. Wow. Yeah, I don't have pelicans on my bird list. They are impressive birds, hey? Jeepers. I've seen some hilarious clips online of pelicans trying to eat different things. They are often quite optimistic, but what stunning looking birds. Amazing that birds these big, they're not super heavy, they do fly very well. Sort of 8-9 kilograms for a bird this size. They're tall, but I've never actually seen one. There's two different species of pelicans, the great white pelican and the pink-backed pelican. These are looking by those yellow underneath their beaks there, the great white pelicans. But they are super impressive birds. Kirsten, can you just confirm exactly where this is, please? I would love to have a look and check the distribution maps for these birds. Oh, in Wangi National Park. Okay, that makes sense. Great white pelican. That's incredible. You do often find them in groups, on lakes, ponds, dams, but there's a lot of them here. So normally fish feeders, shrimps, other aquatic foodstuffs. But no, I do not have a pelican of either description on my bird list. So I'm super excited to see these birds. And actually just watch them for a bit. Grumpy old man, maybe a mineral lick. Zebra, yes, yeah, you could be right. Some sort of minerals, be it natural or otherwise. But it was definitely a very popular spot. And we've got some baboons here as well. I had a lovely baboon sighting in the Kruger a few days ago. I really do enjoy watching baboons as long as I'm not disturbing them and they're not disturbing me. some beautiful interactions with baboons. And I wonder if a baboon would try and hunt pelicans. It would be a substantial meal. So these are actually um, bigger than the other species that are sometimes found across Africa. Um, but I'm just wondering if there's obviously they're not interested at the moment, but I don't see if a baboon would hunt. We know baboons will hunt baby impala sometimes. That would be an exceptionally delicious snack. Bridget McKinney, you said you love pelicans. You grew up at the East Coast and they're amazing to watch. You're very fortunate, Bridget. I don't I've never observed them. But as with many birds, they're having a good grooming session there. According to my expert information, there's probably about 250,000 birds worldwide, which sounds like a lot, but when you think about it, it's not it's not massive numbers compared to some of the other birds we see. I'm just trying to think if I've ever been anywhere where I have seen one. Andy, you're saying there's about 20 there now. There was just two. Have they been coming in sort of one, 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 one? That would be interesting. Maybe they're settling. Do they? I'm just trying to think where they might spend the night. I would assume they might spend the night just sort of sat by the water. I would have thought. So they're normally foraging sort of well morning and afternoony evening. Maybe if they have all been out during the day, they're gathering to roost the same as so many other birds do. That's interesting. They are ground nesters. But according to this, there's a site at St. Lucia. There's no space between the nests. Then often the nests are about a metre apart. But there's a site in St. Lucia where there was no space between any of the nests, and they had to walk over each other to enter or exit the nest sites. It's not very well thought out. Maybe there are limited for nest sites. I love watching these baboons. This time of the evening, um, baboons are sort of rounding off their day. I've watched before where there's lots of baboons feeding, and they often have a timekeeper to ensure that everyone gets back in time for bed. You'll often find a baboon sort of supervising the rest of the group while they feed. It looks like they might have even. There's still one at the back there. Their pre-bedtime grooming and bonding. This aloe grooming, very, very common in baboons. What was that? Was that a little pelican scuffle there? How interesting. I'm going to do some more reading on pelicans because this is probably the longest I've watched them for. Pelicans, what sound do they make? I think they are normally silent. I'm going to play you. I'm going to play you what sound they make. It was then. Every day is a school day. Onto Negro, why are the pelicans pinkish on their neck and belly? Is that from eating something pink? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I know flamingos do get some of their colouring from the krill, but I'm not going to guess. I don't know, to be honest. I know very little about pelicans, but I'm going to change that because this is such a cool sighting that I've never been party to before. Oh, Andy, okay. So far they float in a large group at night. That would make sense. I was thinking sort of pelicans, ducks, water. I know ducks and geese will often sort of just sit around the edge of the water, but floating in a group on the water, I'd say, was an even better strategy to stay safe at night. How interesting. I'm going to make a note that I'm going to do a bit more reading around these guys. Beautiful, beautiful bird. Great white pelican, accompanied with baboon. I'm going to make a note on my homework list to find out more about great white pelicans. I'm back here with these great big herds, and I'm just looking at that wildebeest also in that. I mean, there's not going to be any water in that. It does make me wonder if they're finding minerals somewhere. I mean, it wouldn't make sense that that one pan was full of animals and the other one where the camera is, there's not much water there. I think we've just had a nice elephant arrive. Oh, no, no, no. Apparently the elephant had arrived and is now departed from somewhere. But that, I just heard a sound on this camera that sounded a bit like a drinking elephant to me. You often hear elephants slurping, but I could be wrong. I'm just wondering if that wildebeest is down rolling there. Wildebeest and zebra, for that matter, are well known for sort of dust bathing and rolling in the sand and rolling in the dirt. And if you're lucky, you can often, if you find, you'll find a flattened piece of sand or something like that. And if the wildebeest or zebra has been there fairly recently beforehand, sometimes you will find a couple of chicks hanging around in that sandy roll bed where they've the sand has done exactly what they were hoping for it to do, is get rid of any ticks and mites. I know horses really enjoy a good roll as well. I had a horse for many, many years in the UK, and they were covered in mud often. Let's put it that way. If you even managed to catch them when the mud was dry, which was unusual in England in the well, I'm saying the winter months, but anytime really, you would spend ages getting that mud off, and then they would instantly go back out and roll. That sounds like guinea fowl, possibly. There's definitely some noisy birds present. Are these zebras coming in to have a drink? It's very organised. And that is something you see in nature fairly frequently, is that single file. It's believed that it's almost a safety mechanism. If you've got one lead animal, rather than everyone split up in different directions, that's the path, well, maybe of least resistance, but also of safety. I feel like I can hear slurping, but maybe I'm wrong. It's quite bare around the edges of this. There we go. Maybe that's where it's quite bare around the edges of these pans where they've been used so often by the different animals and the footfall coming down to drink. I'm going to guess that's the inflow there, as we see so regularly on these cameras. Elephants will be vying for position at these nice clean inflow pipes, and rightly so. Montenegro, you're asking, is this a migration period? It depends where and what. Lots of things migrate either long distances, or they can be shorter distances of migration. Migration basically means moving from one area to another. This is not part of the Great Migration, if that's what you're referring to, Montenegro. It would be far bigger numbers, and that migration it's basically it's ongoing. There's animal movement all the time. It just depends where you are and what animals you're looking at. Oh, okay. I have been corrected. I believe this is I didn't know, Kirsten, I didn't know zebras did migrate in Botswana. Wow, today really is a school day. I had no idea, Kirsten. Thank you for that. So, Montenegro, yes, the zebra are currently migrating in Botswana. I will find out where from and where to exactly. I'm not going to do it now though, but that's 2 sets of homework. I apologise profusely. Thanks for correcting me, Kirsten. Believed to move between the Chobe River and the Makati Pans. Okay. Huh, I didn't know they did that at all. I have never been a part of this zebra migration. I've been up to Chobe once, but never the Pans. And they're currently in the Buteti River. I would love to know what sort of numbers we're looking at with that migration. I'm not going to find out now, but I did not know. Somewhere around 30,000 zebra migrate between those two areas in Botswana. But migration is normally, well, it's based on resources, really. So water resources and food availability. 30,000 zebra moving through the Buteti River. Okay. I did not know that. Thank you very much for that update. Huh. That is absolutely fascinating. I did not know that. The Chobe floodplains to Makati. And then it seems they split. Part of those zebras split off into a different area. Huh, I did not know that. I now have some excellent bedtime reading. Thank you, Kirsten. Beautiful rhino here at Founders. I've been fascinated by how the light has changed on a lot of these cameras over the course of the year. It's really nice to be able to watch these seasonal changes. It can be difficult to take mental notes if you are constantly moving unless you go to a specific point. It's difficult to pick up those changes in light, vegetation. I really enjoy looking back at old photos from specific locations to check to see seasonal changes. Mm. Having a good long drink. Everyone must be relieved that these temperatures are dropping a little bit. Mandy here with her young one. It just goes to show. She puts her head back down again. Sometimes we will say, although I don't anymore because I've been proved wrong so many times, that females' horns can sometimes be longer and thinner than males. But this is quite a short, rounded one. Oh, she's got a little oxpecker visitor. See, rhinos do have very thick skin, but I'm sure they can feel these birds. You see them flicking and twitching if flies land on them, so I'm sure they can feel these birds. But this cow, she's got quite a short, wide horn, and it almost looks like she's been. Oh. That little one looked like coming in hot there. Just a little suggestion from Mum that maybe to slow down a little bit. Oh no, 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 no. Is that? I think there's probably another rhino here. That little one has looped back. Who is this that's coming in, causing a disturbance? Well, I think that young one was maybe walking off, and then another rhino has come in, and the little one has come running back to Mum. I would love to know who's there. It's tantalizing. It could be, I mean, it could be a male. We often find, or we often see male rhinos will be trailing females. Even when they've got calves, they will be waiting for those females to come back into estrus or become sexually receptive again. And they can sometimes make quite a nuisance of themselves, especially if the young ones are very small. It can be dangerous for the little ones. The great big bull with one thing on his mind, with little calves, could be problematic getting in the way. But those females will normally make their thoughts very clear on the situation. People will often ask if predators will take young rhino. And while it's not impossible, I did once see a big male leopard had pulled a baby rhino carcass into a tree. We think it might have been a stillborn youngster. It was very, very small. But that is a whole lot of mama to be protecting that young one. So if I was a lion, there would be much easier things to try my luck with than this little baby rhino. Now we've got zebbies coming in as well. Had some amazing visuals of zebra as well at this pan. It's just very aesthetically pleasing. This camera here at Founders. Mandy's not backing down, hey? I'd love to know what's going on just beyond, just out of sight there. Oh, there's lots going on. There's all sorts going on there. I think I counted 3 rhino there. I think maybe they were trying to get around to the water. But Mandy was saying, stay away from my little guy. And they rather skirted. But did you see how quickly those rhino move? I often forget how light on their feet rhino are until you see them move. Kari, you're saying that adults' ribs are showing, isn't it getting enough food? It's more, you don't really see fat wild animals, Karu. You see them rounded, but you don't tend to see like grossly overweight wild animals because nature's made it that way because nature is clever. And I see those ribs on a rhino the same way as you might see ribs on a bodybuilder or power lifter, maybe not power lifter, but a bodybuilder. It's just good solid coverage. But no, that's how I see it. I've seen many rhinos where you can see their ribs, and for me, it's just about not being fat. Also, some shenanigans here, and it is guinea fowl, and I thought it was guinea fowl. My first instinct when I hear guinea fowl is there a predator in the area? But I have learned over the years that sometimes they do just get quite chatty towards bedtime. The guinea fowl will fly up into trees to roost at night. They often make quite a fuss about it. There's actually a tree in the middle of a dam in Madikwe that guinea fowl used to love in, which was very love to roost in. Very clever safety strategy because anything that was going to try and get up the tree to get them during the night had to cross the water. But they used to make a huge scene about it if you got there at the right time. There would be maybe 20, 25 guinea fowl all stood on the edge of the water. And as we know, guinea fowl aren't the most aerodynamic birds out there. And it's almost like they would egg each other on. Egg, no pun intended. They would need to stand there and encourage each other. And they would sit there and they would shout and they would shout. And then one of them would go first and launch itself up off the ground, flap, 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 across the water and land in a tree in the middle there. And once one of them had gone, the rest of them seemed slightly more willing to make the journey across the water. But yeah, it would be very, very dramatic and quite loud for quite some time. You never know though. That is the joy of the bush. 49 times it will be guinea fowl going to bed, and the 50th time it's going to be because they've seen a snake or some other predator. Kari, that's a pleasure. You can sometimes some of the antelope, if you see ribs, it can be a sign of lack of condition. But like I said, I've seen many rhinos with that sort of a visibility of the rib cage rather than ribs showing. I know it's the same thing. But yeah, you very rarely, if ever, you see rotund and well-fed animals in the bush. In times of plenty, we know we often see predators with huge big bellies, but that's more physical bloating. But but nature is clever like that. I can often tell if you see clips online, if you see these video clips and things that people post on the internet, I can often tell if it's captive lion, because captive cats can quite often be overweight, and you see big muscled strong wild lions, but you don't see fat wild lions, because nature's clever. But no, Cairo, don't worry. I'm sure Mandy the rhino is doing fine and well. These other two have come in for a turn now at this. See, that to me is a very typical approach to water. This is obviously the bigger of these three elephants. I'm not sure if that's the one that just left, but that to me was a typical approach to water. Striding into, oh, the other one coming. Oh, lovely. The other one's doing the same thing as well now. That striding, excited walk. And this guy's obviously quite clearly claimed that for now. That striding, strutting. I've seen whole groups of elephants. They will often, if there's water down in a riverbed or something, they almost not tumble bottom over trunk, but they get to the edge and they scoot down that edge of that drainage line quite quickly to get to the water at the bottom. They often get very excited, especially the little ones. It definitely looks like this guy currently has control over this inflow. But as I often say with these animals, physical harm between them is more uncommon than you would think. Communication is often done with nuances, with a side glance, with a stiff tail, with a chin lift, with a side eye, because animals out here in the bush, they have enough problems to be going on with. They have to find food, they have to find mates, they have to keep themselves safe from predators. The last thing they need is to be fighting with their own kind any more than they need to. And while it does sometimes come to blows, if a discussion around whose turn it is to go to the inlet can be resolved relatively peacefully, then it very often is. We can certainly take a leaf or two out of elephants and other animals' books, I think. More than once I've had two male lions, and obviously male lions are well known for being territorial, and they will roar and they will make themselves known. More than once I've had two male lions probably 200 meters from each other on opposite sides of a vehicle, and they've been shouting, and none of them have come out. They just have a roar off, for want of a better word, and then they will go their separate ways again, because these elephants, these big animals with big bulk behind them, it could only take one unfortunate interaction with one of their own kind, and it's tickets. So if you can resolve things peacefully and relatively amicable fashion, then why wouldn't you? See, even these elephants taking the same path of least resistance. They say if you get lost in the bush, pick a game path and follow it. And when it starts to widen, keep going. And if it starts to get narrower, go the other way, because that's going to take you through to water. Zygo, yes, there's a real swagger down to those water points. That swagger is a walk I often associate with also elephant balls in must. If I've got an elephant coming down me in my direction on the road, the first thing I stop to look for, even before you start looking for other signs, is just their posture. The way they're moving can often tell you all you need to know. What a lovely afternoon. I have learnt that I need to do more research on zebra migrations in Botswana. I will be very much looking forward to bringing that back to you next time I am here. And I want to know more about pelicans. I want to know more about, I'm going to find out why they are pink. It could be the same reason as flamingos, but I'm just not sure. And this is what I love about doing this show, is your questions really get my brain working. So thank you all so much for joining. It's hugely appreciated. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please keep watching these cameras. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care.